How to knit the easy Tilly knit lace scarf. This is a super simple lace stitch pattern that is reversible due to the nature of the row count being odd numbered. Wear it as a necklace scarf, a cowl, or even a head wrap scarf. The drape of the bamboo is lightweight and incredibly drapey, perfect for a summery accessory. To make the Tilly scarf, you're going to need one tidbit of Be So Fine yarn, which is fingering weight, 100% bamboo, and the tidbit size runs about $10 and includes over 200 yards of yarn. You'll only need one to make this scarf. We're also going to be using a size 5 or 3.75 millimeter set of knitting needles. I'll be doing it on circulars, but straight needles would be perfectly fine for this project as well. You want to begin by casting on 35 stitches. Let's get started. I'll be using long tail cast on, so I'm going to draw a slip knot when I've pulled a tail about 3 times the length of the scarf. So I'm going to add a slip knot to my knitting needle, which counts as my first cast on stitch, and then holding my tail in front, working yarn in back, pull a loop through the loop, Okay, we've got our 35 stitches cast on, and now we're ready to begin row 1. We're going to start with a knit 1, then we're going to do yarn over knit 1 26 times. Yarn over knit 1, yarn over knit 1. That counts as 2 times. We're going to do that a total of 26. Knit the next stitch. Then we're going to place a stitch marker to separate our scarf stitches from our edging stitches. So we placed our marker, and now the edging stitches for row 1 is to just knit 7. Okay, so that's what the end of row 1 should look like. For row 2, we turn our work. Row 2 begins with a knit 3, yarn over, knit 4, you want to slip the stitch marker, knit 1, we're going to purl 52 times, and we knit the last stitch. And that's what the end of row 2 should look like. Row 3 begins with turning our work. We're going to knit the first stitch, then we're going to knit 2 together 26 times. So take the next 2 stitches and knit them together. That's 1 time. Do that a total of 26. knit the next stitch, slip the stitch marker, and then we knit the last 8 stitches. And that's what the end of row 3 should look like. Okay, we're going to turn our work. Row 4 begins with knit 3, yarn over, knit 5, slip the stitch marker, knit 1, and now we're going to yarn over, knit 2 together 13 times. Yarn over, knit 2 together, that's once, yarn over, knit 2 together, that's twice. You want to do that a total of 13 times. Then we knit the last stitch. And that's what the end of row 4 should look like. We're going to turn our work, and now we're ready to begin row 5. It starts with a knit 1, and then we're going to yarn over, knit 2 together 13 times. Yarn over, knit 2 together, that's once, yarn over, knit 2 together. Okay, so we're going to do that a total of 13 times. Then we knit 1, slip the stitch marker, and knit across, which is to knit 9. And that's what the end of row 5 should look like. We're going to turn our work. Row 6 begins with a knit 3, yarn over, knit 6, slip the stitch marker, oops, and then knit 28, which is to knit across the rest of the row. This is what the end of row 6 should look like. We're going to now turn our work. Row 7 is to knit 28, slip marker, and knit 10. This is what the end of row 7 should look like. We're now going to turn our work and begin row 8. Row 8 begins with a knit 3, yarn over, knit 7, slip our stitch marker, knit 1, We're going to work yarn over knit 1 26 times, then finish the row with a knit 1. Then we're going to yarn over knit 1 26 times and finish the row with a knit 1. This is what the end of row 8 should look like. We're now going to turn our work and begin row 9. Row 9 begins with a knit 1, and then we're going to purl 52 times. Okay, then we're going to knit 1, slip our stitch marker, and knit 11. And that's what the end of row 9 should look like. We're going to turn our work, and we're now ready to begin row 10. Row 10 begins with a bobble. We're going to insert our right hand knitting needle into the first stitch of our left hand needle, and we're going to knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, all into that same stitch without dropping it off the needle. So we did the knit, and then we'll purl into the same stitch, move the yarn to the back again, and knit into it, then move the yarn to the front and purl into it, and move the yarn to the back and knit into it. So we're trying to make 5 stitches from 1 before we slip it off the needle. We're now going to turn our work and knit across those 5 stitches only. I'm going to turn our work and knit across those 5 stitches only. Turn our work and knit across those 5 stitches only. Turn our work, and now to complete the bobble, we're going to knit all 5 of those stitches together. Whoops, almost. There we go. Knit all 5 of them together. Then we're going to knit 3, yarn over, knit 7, slip our stitch marker, knit 1, then we're going to knit 2 together 26 times and finish the row off with a knit 1. This is what the end of row 10 should look like. We're now going to turn our work and begin row 11. Row 11 begins with a knit 1, yarn over, knit 2 together 13 times, knit 1, slip the stitch marker, then we're going to knit 10 and knit the last 2 stitches together. And there's our bobble from the end of the previous row. And this is what the end of row 11 should look like. Row 11. So now we'll turn our work. Okay, we're going to bind off the first 5 stitches, so we knit the first 2 stitches to bind off 1, knit another stitch to bind off 2, knit another stitch to bind off 3, knit another stitch to bind off 4, and knit another stitch to bind off 5. So the stitch on our right hand needle now counts as our first stitch for the next portion, which is to knit 6 stitches. Slip the marker, and we're going to knit 1, yarn over, knit 2 together 13 times, and then finish off the row with a knit 1. And that's what the end of row 12 should look like. We're going to turn our work. Row 13 begins with knit 28, slip the marker, and knit 6, which is to knit to the end of the row. And that's what the end of row 13 should look like. Turn our work. Row 14, and the final row of our 14 row repeat, begins with knit 3, yarn over, knit 3, slip the marker, and knit 28, which is to knit across the rest of the row. This is a 14 row stitch pattern. The scarf works this 14 rows a total of 17 times. So you'll just want to repeat rows 1 through 14 16 more times, or until you're almost out of yarn. The 1 tidbit size of Be So Fine yarn is plenty enough yarn to make the full 17 repeats of the stitch pattern. For line-by-line instructions, please follow the link in the video description box to download the free pattern, and you can also order the $10 ball of yarn for making this project if you follow the link to order the yarn in the video description box as well. After a quick hand washing in
all natural delicate wash Rapture and water, you can pin this shawl out to its finished dimensions of 46 inches long by 9 inches wide.
Please subscribe to my channel for more videos.